Radio Cayman everywhere.
Everywhere.
Can you hear me now?
Everywhere. Everywhere.
Yes, right from your Android or iPhone. Download the Radio Cayman app now on your Android or iOS phone.
The Radio Cayman app
is where you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere you go.
Everywhere we go, we go. Everywhere we go, we go.
Find it in the Google Store, the Apple Store, or use the link at www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Yes, now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, and thank you so much for joining us here on another terrific edition of Talk Today on this Thankful Thursday, as we invite you to be a part of our ongoing discussion. The dialogue, the discourse intended to inform, entertain, educate, and hopefully empower. So stay tuned for Talk Today. As we come back, Dr. Gideon Barnett will sit with us. Stay tuned.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. As we invite you to be a part of our discussion and share your thoughts, comments through our continuing conversation, you can dial us up on 949-8037 or 949-6990. Likewise, Flow has always made it, readily available through the toll-free line at 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Really pleasure, and a privilege to welcome to our studio once again Dr. Gideon Barnett, and as we speak with him, learn through his immense expertise and experience, we see a resilience and a resolve in our people that speaks to a courageous spirit and that has spanned the generations and caused us to be the people we are, with such a wonderful, endearing, hospitable nature that seeks to serve as they make immense sacrifice. For those who are joining us, Dr. Gideon Barnett was born, as he shares with us, in 1946 in Brush Tree Hill in West Bay. And those who remember Miss Ridley Powry, he started school at the very, very young age of 5 years old, graduated as valedictorian in 1965 from Triple C, went on to Brooklyn College in the City University of New York in 1970 to get a Bachelor of Arts degree in pre-medical studies. And he'll tell you, probably other than the joy of being a father, 6 children, unofficial adopting 2 daughters, the love of his life, who he married in 1971, Sarah Herrera. The grandfather of 6, that probably, was maybe why he was so diligent in pursuing his MD from the State University of New York at Buffalo, graduated in 1974, and, practicing for 3 decades in the U.S. I think, Dr. Barnett, that is something that epitomizes a man's character, resolve and service to country and to society and to family. But when we can sit and reason, or when we can sit and learn from our, as they would love us to say, our elders or forefathers, and borrow from them examples that should cause us to look with great pride, but we also a great sense of purpose. So, welcome, sir. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Also, at the age of 12, I steered the gold field on its last journey from Mashaw's Point to Aug12th.
Okay, so when I do Mashaw's is one of my favorite spots to fish one time, and if I was ever able to satisfy a dream, would be to own a piece of land off there. But that's coming out the North Zone all the way through. Now, did you go through the leak or the main channel? Did you go through
We went through the main channel. It was a beautiful, beautiful morning.
And you stayed the gold field. Who was captain that afternoon?
Well,
other than you?
it was, I think it was one of the seamen who was also with Captain Reginald.
Captain Reginald Parsons.
Who was the main captain of the Goldfield.
Yeah, some would say, oh, isn't he family to you? Yes, he is. But now that is a vessel that I think, if we ever could do time travel and we ever could go back to a time and a space and a place in history, I think very few of us, would not want to see her in all her majesty.
Yes.
And you got to sail and it's a
I got to see it down all the way in its guts. Oh. I saw all of the ballast. I saw the multiple decks that were placed in it under the main deck for the transportation of turtle from Nicaragua.
Now, I don't want to in any which way, shape, form, or fashion get away from this substantive discussion that we had, but there's something about that vessel, not just the familiar connection, not just the stories we hear. My father said, man, she was so fast that one day they were saying that she was pushing off, saying goodbye to her, and before they could turn around good, she was at the port of Tampa. She was fast.
Yes. Well, that particular day, we let her have the sails. When we got out in the deep ocean and headed 270 degrees west, and we said, let her have it, and then we saw the gunnel awash. That's where the water comes up and away from the deck.
Wow. I sometimes sit and marvel and think, what it must have been like. Mr. Loxley would tell us sometimes that she's anchored off the bay in West Bay, and there they are getting to, climb aboard, grab onto it, and swing over and drop off. I mean,
yes,
nothing better than that, huh?
Yes.
So fond memories, man, and thanks for sharing that with us. I can.
Okay, for discussion today.
Yes, sir.
For discussion today, I really want to start with a couple of things from two of my children. And this one comes from Lauren Sharrett, who lives in Florida. And she says, to tell the people in Cayman, don't live in fear. Fear is a liar. And then there's another one who comes from Nathan Herrera Barnett. And this is what he would say. Do not live in fear. Do not be afraid to open the borders. The fear of the unknown can be a lot more harmful than the virus itself.
Fear paralyzes them. Well, I can see, like your parents who have instilled wisdom and courage in you, you have likewise done the same in your children. Not just the talent and tenacity, but the fact now that they have that courageous spirit. But we tend to live in fear. And for many of us, the idea that we should not doesn't mean that we do not. And I don't know, I think too often that we don't draw enough from the scripture. We don't draw enough from the examples that are within our own. As they were talking of that, I was thinking of my favorite psalm, the 27th. Whom shall I fear? Lord. And the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Well, I have written just a little bit sort of preamble to get into a discussion, or to help educate, I would say, our people. Because, the lack of knowledge can really kill you.
Yeah, people perish.
It can be really bad. For the lack of knowledge, the people will perish. But doing things that do not work, as a father, as a man, that would be very, very bad for me, my family, associates, you name it. Just keep on doing things that do not work. Well, that's madness, isn't it? Yes.
I would think so.
Really what it is.
Right.
So there are people out there and organizations out there which have not fully learned the lessons from history that we should have learned. There are recommendations from the CDC, the NIH, the FDA, the WHO, that go contrary to science. And if you keep doing those things, you don't win.
But before you go on with that, and I don't want to put you off, but those acronyms that you mentioned, those are probably now as well known to all of us as is the name Muhammad Ali, Elvis Presley, Michael Jordan, even. And these are credible names of organizations that carry a lot of weight. Their recommendations, their policies, their ability to influence and dictate, direct certain things. So if I didn't misunderstand, they make recommendations and things that go contrary to science. Well, for us who are not as scientific inclined or have the credentials of you and your colleagues in the medical field, what do we do? I mean, this is what the authority is saying.
Well, I will get to that. I think.
All right.
Yes. Okay. But for the education part of it,
yes, sir.
Coronaviruses and all other respiratory viruses are spread by aerosol particles small enough to go through every mask.
Okay.
How many normal, usual citizens know that?
Fair enough. Okay.
Okay. You cannot make these viruses go away. That was tried in the past and failed. They circulate all year long, waiting for the immune system to get sick through the winter, or the immune system to become deranged, like some change, as per a possible vaccine.
Okay.
They cause symptomatic disease. And we live with microorganisms every day. Our gut, I think, has over 3 trillion bacteria. I mean, and things can be on my skin, and you're not aware of. I'm not aware of. We also live under different type of dangers, like the billions, millions of gallons of water in the clouds, and nothing happens to us. So, anyway, because they cannot be filtered out, and they have an animal reservoir, no one can make the virus go away. Breakouts in summer are not normal, but can happen due to antibody-mediated viral enhancement, a process that can take place with vaccinations, as shown in the past in animal studies. No vaccine ever stops infection, but a vaccine can prevent symptoms in selected cases. However, the vaccinated person may possibly transmit the virus to the one who is not vaccinated. Therefore, the vaccinated will be a reservoir to pass respiratory pathogens onto the unvaccinated. In COVID-19, some huge informational problems with so many conflicting voices, conflicts of interest, altering vaccination timeline development, informed consent, mandates by governments, mandates by employers, political posturing, censorship, and other things, so the public does not receive the truth. For example, how many people have heard that the combination of ivermectin, zinc, and vitamin D can cure COVID-19 at home? And that vaccines have no benefit at all for people who have recovered from COVID-19, if they get vaccinated, they're 2 to 4 times more likely to get bad effects from the vaccine. So this statement that I just made here, that's mainly to help in the education part of our program today, even though other parts of the program will be educational.
I appreciate that, sir, because sometimes, as you said, education information not only equalizes and empowers, but gives us a sense to make informed choices. All right.
Yes. Okay. So there are things that cause us to get inertia. And one of the big things is fear. Now, a certain amount of fear is healthy. A certain amount of fear helps us to prepare in case we have a hurricane. Okay? But it's not fear gone amok. Fear gone amok is when it consumes your brain, your thinking, your pupils dilate, you start to sweat, your heart rate increases, your blood pressure increases, things that are bad for us. And fear can be very bad. It can kill people. I mean, a person can become so fearful that he's might be living on the borderline of coronary artery disease, and his blood pressure shoots up and his pulse shoots up because of fear, and then he has a heart attack. So what I'm saying is that is one thing we don't want as in these three beautiful islands, is for the citizens to be consumed with fear.
Okay.
That would not be good.
All right. Dr. Barnett, respectfully, let's just pause quickly and take a short break. We'll come back and continue the discussion. For those who are listening, we appreciate you staying tuned, maybe sharing the link and information with others so they too can join us. Welcome you right after the break.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Look at you, listening to the radio, tuning in, getting stuff done. Total doer. Maybe you're driving, maybe you're getting your oil changed or grabbing some chicken. Maybe you're doing something that's nobody's business but yours. Hey, that's cool. We're all doing something. Now you can join a whole new community of doers doing more on findyellow.com. With custom search, local experts, and trusted reviews, whatever you're doing, get it done on findyellow.com.
The New Noka's disappearance in July of 1936 with 20 people on board on a voyage to Tampa. A yet-to-be-solved Cayman maritime mystery. Here, the up-to-date story, 7 p.m. Thursday on Radio Cayman, brought to you by Cayman Coating at 96 Portland Road, Airport Industrial Park. Cayman Coating is your one-stop location for all of your paints and coating needs and their application accessories. Cayman Coating. 949-2920.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And thanks for joining us. And in the studio, Dr. Gideon Barnett. And Dr. Barnett, as we listen to what you were sharing, we are cognizant that sometimes you talk about the fear, the flight or fight mode that we may have, and how fear, being so at times paralyzing. A person is like a deer in the headlight, we say. They get frozen. Well, that is challenging. But you were sharing with us, sir. So we are very much.
Yeah. Okay. So fear gone amok, and establishing that almost like a characteristic of the person with great fear can lead to phobias, and phobias are very bad, and they're most of the times unreasonable. So we have you look at facts, and then because of your fear, you can't even digest the facts, and so you make the wrong decisions. And in the situation we're in right now, what we do not want to do, we do not want to transfer the fears that adults may have to children. Because you see, and the children can become very impressed. I mean, we're going from before 1 year of age, you're tiny children, up to however many years you want to call it. But we do not want to do that. So we have started to use a language that reinforces fear in our young people. We don't want to do that. That's bad in their decision making. That can occupy their mental capacities, and they can't make good decisions and decide what they need to do, what is best for them, etc. So we don't want to transfer that. And in these unprecedented times, you've heard that said so many times. Is that bringing fear?
Yeah.
Mentioning of COVID-19 so many times in the earshot of our little children. Putting on a mask when there's no need for a mask. Reinforcing fear. I ask you.
So a level of conditioning potential in it that we can have.
Yes, we want to avoid that.
Okay. So what did we say to, I think you should have outset, whether it's the alphabet suite of the acronyms combined, whether it is the CDC and, the WHO and the like, when they publish things, and then there are physicians like yourselves here in the region, in Europe, it's across the globe, as scientists are asking questions, are maybe making a comment that seems to somehow question what is said or contradict the official sort of policy and statement of governments as informed and advised by the WHO. After all, they are the World Health Organization. They should know. We've hearing some of those same people are not being as well received and at times ostracized. Some have say maligned and threatened with licensure sanctions and the like. That growing divide amongst even the medical community. How does that bode for the individual scientists?
Okay, so there are many things that are good for us, and there are many things that are bad for us. What is bad for us is that we take a position in which we don't listen to one another.
Okay.
One group may be so into a certain medicine, a certain way of treating something, for example, that he is not listening to the other side, which might come on board with randomized controlled trials and trying to show level A type of evidence so that you practice medicine and live by evidence rather than live by emotion.
Okay.
Or live by just a one-sided argument.
Okay.
So you have to listen, you have to have speech.
Dialogue and discourse, right?
Yes. Speech is good, but if there's too much, it's not good.
Right.
Okay, I will give you a scenario. If you and I were living in a dormitory, we're college mates, okay? We ran out of bread, but we need food, okay? And so we decide, well, we got to get food. But if I talk too much, I'm going to keep you awake. Yeah, you're not going to be able to study. You jump in your car, you get on the road, you and because you couldn't sleep, you fall asleep behind the wheel and you get into a collision, and now the ambulance comes and takes Sterling to the hospital, and we have no bread. We have a sick person because of it.
Right.
Okay, too much speech, right? Okay, too much food. Right. Food is good.
Right.
I love food. Yeah, the right kind of food.
Me too.
So if you take too much of it, what happens?
All right. Well, we can see. Dr. Barnett, a number of our listeners are weighing in. For those who, please listen and certainly join us if you want. One is saying that in the news today, just coming out today, that the Pfizer injection shot thing is now only 42% effective against the Delta variant. About a month ago, or last night, it was reported that it was 64% effective against this variant. So it's gone down significantly, according to the news today. And our listeners are waiting and saying, well, why should someone take an experimental vaccine? And at what point do the risk outweigh the benefits of taking this thing? Why not try the therapeutics, which have some level of proven effectiveness? So, again, as you well.
So what we do in that instance, you have to get all the information you can. You have to look at the trials. You have to look at who's supplying the information. Is the person supplying the information prejudiced or unprejudiced toward information?
Right.
You have to look at many different factors, and we will always be going through this because the underlying statement is you cannot get rid of coronaviruses, and you don't have a filtering system that you can use to totally weed out what is emotion involved in the statements made.
Okay. So, Dr. Barnett, from that perspective, in the early days, I'm not so sure we're hearing it as much now, the novel coronavirus, that was the qualifier when it was used. Some would say, is this a new book? The novel.
New. No, new.
No, the new. No, I can't. Two things then. One, coronavirus is always there, have always been around. That's not what, just generally speaking.
They've always been around.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Now, what I want to do, I want to let you know that the gathering of information, we should use something special. And this is what I am going to propose. Some people may like it, and some people may not like it. But the intention is that the public get the right information as far as we can supply without involvement of any politics. And I propose that the Cayman Islands government establish a task force on infectious diseases. Okay? And it should be apolitical. That means not political as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much information out there. There's information coming out all the time. There are over 200 medicines, for example, that are repurposed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you say to the citizens of the country? You need to have a task force on infectious diseases. And let me tell you, the task force on infectious diseases will continuously operate because we are always going to have diseases come and go.
Mm-hmm.
You could have started from the days of tuberculosis. You see what I mean? For example.
Yes, sir.
It would still be in existence today. But we have to have that so that we can garner all of the information we can, so we can bring whatever is the truth or nearest to the truth that is out there.
Okay.
And that will help people tremendously. It would be an educational campaign. We need to have an educational campaign similar to what we had before we were going to vote on the Cayman Islands Constitution Order 2009, for example, that can have all the information and up-to-date information so that they can be in the different districts. You can have meetings. People can sit down and listen and learn.
Informed, objective.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Right.
That is what I propose that we do, and take it out of the hands of the politicians, take it out of the hands of the HSA doctors, etc. You establish criteria to get it as apolitical as possible.
So you're looking at a way to just be able to, objectively assess something in an impartial way that just speaks to the facts.
Yes.
You think we could do that on everything, huh?
Yeah, you might not have heard that proposal before, but that's what I would do.
Okay.
Yeah, because the citizens really have a right to know as much of the truth as possible.
But I like the suggestion, and I want to maybe ask some other things. Again, trying to read and understand. And I say this on the premise that as just an observer even, and now increasingly a participant, on a personal level, I've never been involved in any discussion about anything that has been more vitriolic, conflicting, confusing, having contradictory information, and so divisive that the best of friends, the closest of people, have been separated. Right? And increasingly so.
Yeah.
Increasingly so.
And that is sad.
Yeah.
That is sad that you have to make that comment.
Yeah.
But that is where the people should not immediately take sides because of John Doe or whoever is taking a side.
Right.
You have to try to look at the facts.
Okay. So
and I think one of the you need a repository of facts so that you can refer to.
Okay.
So and that will help the politicians greatly also, because it takes them off the hook.
Right.
And looking to a body that is gathering information to help the citizens, to help the islands. Yeah.
Dr. Barnett, then when I listen to what you share, and just as an example, I go back to the world of finance and accounting, and you take a series of financial statements from a company over the last 5 or 10 years. You try to analyze its performance, see what it's doing in order to maybe make some level of forecast, predictions, not just for its budgeting, but how is it going to be as a potential good investment in the stocks, maybe you want to acquire the company, different things. And you will look at it. If you're the CFO or part of the finance team, you might be looking at its inventory turnover and different things. So we do that. We use the historical data to do things. Not a scientist, not at all. But then with studies, scientific trials, particular drug is being developed, they're looking at finding a cure for something or some remedy, some sort of treatment or therapy or whatever it is that we call it these days. We're told in the past that can take time. You have said publicly, 15 years, 20 years. Sometimes we look again, right or wrong. Well, AIDS has been around for how long? Nothing. The common cold, this, cancer, that. How many years? You don't have anything that is, a cure. But then people have immediately countered, well, the world is different now. The world is flat. Technology has been leveraged. Governments and companies have thrown on everything they got, all the money, all the resources, all the personnel. And quick look at the split. One mama said, 2 licks and a promise. And here they come with something. So we're no longer in the dark ages. We have technology at our disposal. We have all this money. So therefore we can come up with something immediately. It don't take 20 years now. We can take 20 months. Is that... that sounds legit. I put everything I have at it. It must work. Dr. Barnett.
Except the human body doesn't work like that.
Okay.
The human body works at variance to technology.
Okay.
So you can't always apply technology to the workings of our human bodies, to the workings of the immune system.
So then, let me ask, and forgive me, again, some of us are more erudite than others. Some of us are just, have that inquiring inquisitive mind. If I'm understanding what you're sharing, we can go into the lab, we can go into the control environment, and we can put in the what-if scenarios and, model all sorts of things and come up with algorithms that will indicate that this is probable given this set of parameters. But if would you allow me and chastise and correct me publicly if I use the wrong term, put something into my system at age 5 or age 15 or at age 50. I may not know, despite what the lab has said, what this thing will do in 5 months or in 15 years or 30 years. I'm not putting words in your mouth. I just want to understand, is that what you're saying?
Yes, because you have a variable which is a great confounder with regard to the human body, and that's called time.
Okay. But surely we can model things. I watch them speed up things in the lab. This is what an aging process will look like given these things. So science is there, technology is there. Surely we can solve it and refine it in such a way that this is the outcome.
Well, that is technology. That is not necessarily true science.
Okay.
Because true science, you need the variable of time to be in its proper perspective.
Okay.
Everything has perspective is very, very important with regard to this. I give you an example.
Yes, sir.
So people will say, well, let's go out and have a happy hour. And a person might have been doing that, a lady might have been doing that for 10, 15 years, and then she goes to her doctor and she has a final diagnosis of breast cancer so she has consumed a little bit of alcohol over years. And do you know that that's a risk factor for breast cancer? Even if you are not an alcoholic. You see what I mean? So we have a factor of time over the years.
Wow.
Okay, because listen to this. Okay? I want to let you know that years teach what days will never know. Ralph Waldo Emerson.
With that, we'll pause and we'll invite you to join us right after the news break. Stay tuned, please.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
Eat, drink, and save money with BIP. Get the best deals across the islands exclusively with BIP. Introducing BIP Deals and Offers, home to the best money-saving coupons. And that's not all. Join the BIP Marketplace, the best place to buy and sell your items for free. Even better, win free lunch every Wednesday and stand a chance to win great prizes daily with BIP. Just download the free BIP app today and start BIPing.
3T Cayman MRI is the patient-friendly MRI experience in the Cayman Islands. With the most advanced scanner on island, utilizing cutting-edge technology, and a team of highly trained radiologists and technologists with the experience that rivals any clinic in the world. Our suite is designed for patient comfort, with the largest patient opening of any scanner, and additional features to minimize anxiety during your scan. Come to 3T Cayman MRI for your patient-friendly experience. Learn more at 3tcayman.com.
Always separate debris from household garbage after a hurricane hits. Debris includes roofing materials, downed tree branches, and metals. All items of debris must be placed in separate piles to the front of the property or at a side that is easily accessible to collection trucks. Debris must be placed in a location that will not cause obstruction to roadways or come in contact with electrical lines. For more post-hurricane waste management tips, visit the DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. Workforce Opportunities and Residency Cayman is offering extended hours to assist Caymanian and permanent resident job seekers and registering on the Jobs Cayman portal. The registration extended hours began yesterday, August 11th, and continue today, August 12th, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. for last names L through Z at the work offices at Apollo House West, located at 87 March Street in Georgetown. In international news, authorities in North Germany have asked more than 8,000 people to get repeat COVID vaccinations because a nurse is suspected of having injected saline instead of vaccine in many cases. Police are investigating the nurse's actions at a vaccination center. Initially, just 6 people were believed to have received the harmless salt solution there in March and April. Many of those affected were aged 70 over, a high-risk group in the pandemic. The Taliban have taken the strategically important city of Ghazni, the 10th provincial capital to fall on the militants in less than a week. Taking Ghazni is thought to increase the likelihood the Taliban could eventually take the capital, Kabul. Almost a third of Afghanistan's 34 provincial capitals are now under Taliban control. Some 11 Picasso paintings and works owned by casino and hotel group MGM Resorts in Las Vegas are due to go up for auction in October. The sale includes 5 paintings, some of which were displayed at the Bellagio Hotel's Picasso restaurant, and whose combined worth is estimated at $100 million. MGM Resorts says it wants to improve the diversity of its fine art collection. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And thanks to the Dr. Gideon Barnett for being our guest and for sharing from his experience and his expertise. Sir, as we continue our discussion, we do have one caller online. Let's just take that first call. Yes. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for sharing.
Hi. Good afternoon. I just wanted to call in and join in and take part in the discussion.
Thank you.
I wanted to thank Dr. Gideon Barnett. We are family members as well, so I know him, and he's certainly been a blessing to the community, I'm sure, for many years in Florida when he practiced medicine as well. he was a blessing over there. But I wanted to touch on a couple of points that were just covered. I think there was some mention of technology and, advancements in research and things like that. And the comment that was made was that, we're kind of there now. We should be able to, not have to wait and see how things turn out. So I wanted to give you kind of a business perspective on that, but it's still a scientific perspective. Anytime we are modeling, and that's what we'd have to do here, we would have to be in a position where we were aware of some variables, so that's point one. We're not going to be able to capture all the variables. So you're going to have to capture what you think are the significant variables. So automatically, I would hope that people can kind of see modeling would be imperfect. The other thing is you're now having to make a projection into the future of what you think might happen. And I think that's another factor here too, is when you're talking about something as serious as, what currently it's the mRNA and DNA adenovirus viral vector vaccines that are out. And I think we have to just remember that modeling is imperfect, and that time variable, that's even just one. Everybody's body is different. You can look over a horizon of statistics and say, well, this percentage of people had that side effect, but my body is my body. Mm-hmm. And it's very unique. Mm-hmm. And that statistic is out there saying X people might get, a headache or might get a blood clot, but nobody is going to be able to say what my personal risk is. And I think that's part of the issue with this kind of great unknown space that we're in. We don't know the long-term side effects. It's not clear. It's just being discovered. I think the EU came out very recently here this week and said they're now looking at some new side effects that they're studying for Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. This is going to continue, over the years, and there's a lot of things that won't be seen until generations pass. For example, if there's any sort of reproductive toxicity, we're not going to know that now necessarily. That's not going to be evident until way into the future. And so that was one comment that I wanted to make, because I think it's so important that folks are properly informed. That, I don't know how many folks read the little handout that comes with the Pfizer vaccine, but the risks are unknown. They are not fully known. And so for those who are comfortable taking it with unknown risks, that's fine. But respect the fact that there are folks that don't want to take those risks because they could very well be very significant. Mm-hmm. And so that's I don't know if Dr. Barnett wants to make any comments on that point. But the second issue that's really important to me is prevention and treatment. If I go on the government COVID website right now, under prevention measures, there's 3 things discussed: hand wash, social distancing, and masks. That's it. There's nothing on other things that we all know, I hope we know, that we could do. There's no other prevention protocols there. There's no discussion of early treatment options. Nobody knows that there are medicines that are being repurposed because we aren't being told. We're being told your only option, is a vaccine that might have untold risks. And in my mind, that's not informed consent. I think it's also very dangerous because it puts people in a situation where I have all the personal liability. If I die, let me tell you, I'm very important to my family. Mm-hmm. Nobody can replace me in my family's eyes. So I'm not just thinking about myself, as some people would say, oh, the anti-vaxxers just think about themselves. No, I'm thinking about my family and the knock-on effect it would have if something were to happen to me. I'm trying to make the best risk-based decision. So, but I just wanted to say I definitely want to hear, whether it's from government, whether it's from, through the public health body, or there are other options out there. If you look at the Frontline Care, COVID Care Alliance in the United States, you have top physicians that are putting out information about early treatment and prevention, not just washing your hands and putting on a mask. There are options out there, and people have a right to know. It reduces this sense of everything's out of control when they realize, wait a second, if the Delta variant is here and explodes, there's still something I can do. Because if I'm vaccinated and I still get infected, I still have to deal with this. So people have a right to know. So anyway, those are my comments, and definitely be interested to hear Dr. Barnett if he had any points on that. Thank you.
Thank you too for that, Mom. Thank you. Dr. Barnett?
Yes, with regard to variants, there's a possibility of over 3,000 for this particular virus.
3,000.
We're just hearing about the Delta variant. And I saw one paper on a schedule as to when some other variants are going to be announced. Is that science? No. And then with regard to governments and what they put on their site, that is so involved with politics that we are not going to get the full truth. And then she mentioned not knowing what could happen in the future. That's correct. We know that this particular strain of virus, has a predilection for the bone marrow and the ovaries. Is it going to increase ovarian cancer 10 years down the road? We don't know. Is it going to cause leukemia, from the cells in our bone marrow 5 years down the road? We just don't know. So there are these unknowns out there, and that is why I propose that we have a task force that's apolitical and not involved with money or financial gain, in order to try to get the best information we can in a point in time to the citizens of our islands.
Okay. Dr. Barnett, if I could share with you and our listeners a number of questions that have come in, just questions. And I'll preface it by saying that we've had, for a while now, and now we're seeing it in the public domain, that organizations, the supermarkets, just recently, we're seeing the loudmouth fellow from the Tourism Association saying everybody should be mandated to have it. We know it's a very, very divided thing. But we've had staff members at different organizations, their family members share with us that they were just went in, got the injection, the jab, and go. That was it. So the questions, I just collated them, asking through you, if you know if the people in Cayman in particular who have taken the jab, if they were informed properly about it prior to taking it, were they made aware that they had taken part in a clinical trial, were they given a list of the possible side effects, were they made aware that the Pfizer, the company with this one to be taken, cannot be held responsible if they are damaged in any way.
I know of no one who has really received proper informed consent.
No one. Okay.
I don't know of anyone who has received proper informed consent.
All right. We do have another caller, sir. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
I'm okay. How's Dr. Barnett doing?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you for asking.
He looks awesome, sir.
Okay. Yeah, just a quick question and a comment. From what I've been reading, at any given time now, we can expect approval from the FDA for this Pfizer vaccine. They're just about giving it a all clear to go ahead with it. Like 98.9% that is safe. The question I would like to ask is that from the day one when this thing came about in our island that we were locked down, if we did nothing about it, including the world, if they decided to wait until they have approval or find out that this vaccine was safe, if they did nothing, what, in your opinion, would be the situation right now? Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Barnett, I mean, fair question. What?
Yeah. Well, it is my belief that we should not have had lockdowns. I think that there were alternatives that could have been done to prevent lockdown. You see, the thing is, you have that element of fear again. And if that dominates so much of your thinking, it is not a good. It prevents you from really thinking of alternatives. It prevents you from thinking of things that you could do. For example, it might not have been made on presumed truth. I still do not know to this day whether it was really definitely true that the tourist that we had off the cruise ship who was at Health City really had the disease, really had COVID-19. If somebody is out there who can let me know the exact truth, please let me know. But I just do not. And I don't think, in general, that the citizenry had that information.
We were told.
But because of fear, you had some immediate actions that took place that might not have been necessary. And that's the way fear works. If you get in an accident, you can be so frozen with fear as to what might have been, which might not have been.
Okay. Can we, as we take this break, can we ask this question and we'll follow up with the answer? What are you proposing that people, and how you propose that people stay safe from catching COVID-19 now and when we open up? Could we get a response from you? All right. Dr. Barnett will stay with us. We invite you to do the same.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
William Stephen Ryan, J.P., 1838 to 1910. William Ryan was the first Ryan born on Cayman Brac. He was appointed Justice of the Peace in 1877 and Stipendiary Justice for Cayman Brac in 1893. Court was held at his home, which was located on Ryan's Drive, across the road from the Ryan Family Cemetery, where he is buried. He was married to the former Catherine A. Scott, with whom he had 3 children, William, Amis, and James Scott. Amis was the grandmother of former District Commissioner Kenny Ryan. Bill, as he is known to friends and family, made his living fishing and turtling. The family recalls that he would never leave his nets out on a Sunday. He always pulled them up on Saturday night and put them back out on Monday morning.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Spend quality time with your child to show you care about their health, wellness, and success. Celebrate their achievements, forgive their mistakes, listen to them when they have a problem, and show interest in how they plan to solve it. Young people are more likely to listen when their parents are engaged. They know you're on their side. Talk with your child early about making health-conscious decisions for life. For tips, log on to www.ndc.ky. This message was brought to you by the National Drug Council and Radio Cayman.
The story of the new Nukel can be heard in a repeat broadcast Thursday at 7 p.m. on Radio Cayman. The New Nuka's Disappearance, a Cayman Islands maritime mystery. The New Nuka's Story. Brought to you by
Thompson Shipping, a name synonymous with cargo and goods to and from the Cayman Islands. Let Thompson Shipping take care of your shipping needs. Thompson Shipping, 949-8044.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. In the studio, Dr. Gideon Barnett is our guest, and as we continue the discussion, we asked a question right before the break, asking how you were proposing that people stay safe from catching COVID-19. So, your perspective, sir.
Okay. Just before I get into that, I want to make the public aware, and I think we have a significant proportion of the public who are already aware that what is being injected is not a traditional vaccine. We have lipid, we have messenger RNA, and that is not the traditional vaccine. The traditional vaccine, we would have a virus which can be live and attenuated. That means the virus is not alive as it should be. And we can have an activated virus. We can have a protein derivative from a microorganism. And so this is completely different. And I also want to mention in that we have a situation in which we have a possibility of gain of function. Now, gain of function, that term might not be very familiar.
Right. We heard a lot.
But you have to realize that in laboratories you can manipulate organisms in order to have that organism become more pathogenic than it normally would be.
Okay.
And that's where we have, the question, like to Dr. Fauci, about gain of function before the Congress of the United States of America. Because there was money given from the United States of America, from the organization that Dr. Fauci is part of, into the Wuhan laboratory. And I will ask the question, why is it that we had SARS-1 come out of China, and why is it that we have SARS-2, COVID-19 now, come out of China. What is going on? The public needs to ask questions about those things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, getting back to your question as to what we can do.
Mm-hmm.
We know historically that the washing of hands is very important to keep down any transmissible disease, especially the viruses.
Mm-hmm.
So we all need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
The wearing of mask is of really questionable use.
Mm-hmm.
We have the health of the immune system. Everyone should make sure that he is in good health as much as possible. That, the vitamin D, for example,
mm-hmm.
is very important for the immune system. And so if a person is in his office all day long and hardly gets in the sunlight,
mm-hmm.
because vitamin D is made in the skin and modulated by the kidney afterward, that person should probably be on supplemental vitamin D, even if he did not get his vitamin D tested. So the taking good care of your immune system. We know that zinc helps the immune system and the circulation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So those are two things you can do to help your own immune system. We know that getting enough rest is good for the immune system.
Mm.
Yeah? And so there are things we can do to help to keep ourselves healthy so that we do not get diseases from viruses.
Well, what about those people now that are already have immunity? Their immunity system is already compromised. They're immunosuppressed, as it were. They have underlying conditions. They've seen their physicians for these things. They already have a negative impact on their immune system.
Yeah, they should definitely get with their treating doctor
mm-hmm.
in order to discuss that.
Mm-hmm.
How can I keep my immune system in the best shape possible?
Mm-hmm. Okay, and not to belabor too much, but oftentimes we hear a lot and then we take it so much for granted so we all know that we should get vitamin D. We all know that it comes from the sun. We probably even know, as you said, but well, what time of day do we go? Our ancestors used to go early in the morning. How long do we go? So is there, just as a quick bit of medical advice, you can send us a bill, we won't pay you, but is there a time of day that we should go? And if so, how long should we stay in order to get the vitamin D?
Well, I would say you practice like the old people in Cayman.
Uh-huh.
And that is, you try not to get sunburn. If you have a sombrero, put on your sombrero, but you can go out there in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be afraid of it as such.
Mm-hmm.
Don't burn up your skin.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean
Right.
in the process? And so...
Doesn't matter what time of day you go. Just get out there. Morning sun, afternoon sun. It's all good sun.
Yeah, it's all good sun as you get
Okay.
sunlight. Yes, right. It's all good sun. Of course, the more direct, you tend to get a greater effect, but then you have to get back out of it shortly.
Okay, so fair enough. But again, just even looking at the number of the comments that are coming in, healthy people still get sick. Cancer, for instance, and die. A lot of diseases seem to emanate in Africa and Asia and those parts of the world. We've seen, back to your earlier comment with respect to the government's giving the approval for the cruise ship guy to come on, that staff at the health facility seemingly got ill, and we saw them having to close their doors for an extended period. There was community transmission. How do we respond to that?
We respond to that by saying you cannot stop.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot stop all cases of viral illnesses,
Mm-hmm.
viral respiratory illnesses. However, there's good news.
Okay.
And the good news is that the natural COVID survival rate
Mm-hmm.
is in your favor. For example, from 0 to 19 years of age, it is 99.997%. From 20 to 49 is 99.8%. 99.98%. From 50 to 69, it is 99.5%. From 70 plus, that's where I am, it is 94.6. Okay, so I'm not scared of it because I have taken care of my body over the years, and I've been through SARS-1 and all of this, and so I am I'm depending upon my natural immunity and the immunity that I've had and how I took care of my body over the years.
Right. But back to that fear that you referenced earlier, and I think many of us have probably been told by parents, don't become, fearful. Better go to scripture and be careful when you become so afraid that you get paralyzed, you can't think, you can't function, you don't move. But as patients, we go to our physicians, we complain of some ailment, there's a course of treatment prescribed, there's a prescription that's written, we fill that, medication is taken, and many times that approved medication by the approving authorities across the globe and dispensed by reputable licensed pharmacies and the like, they have side effects, So, what do we take things. I'm sure as a physician, you prescribe things.
Yes, and I prescribe things, but I generally will tell the patient what has been happening in most of the cases. And we know, for example, and even in surgical procedures, if you make a definitive diagnosis, pretty much you can make it these days of acute appendicitis, for example. And you encourage the patient. You don't force the patient to sign, but you encourage the patient to sign for what you recommend, the necessary surgical procedure.
All right.
So, which has improved, by the way, these days.
Right.
Yes.
You shared, and I just want to ask, because you shared prior that, well, as you just did, the survival rate, you shared the immunity, but I believe you also shared that a person who had it before, got the injection, that they were more, 2 to 4 times more likely to. What was that? Repeat that in light of what you just said.
Okay, so if a person who has had COVID-19 gets a vaccination, he has a likelihood of developing 2 to 4 times more side effects. That's the pretty much the statistic on that.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Take this quick break, Dr. Barnett. And when we return, we invite you to continue to share with us on probably one of the most interesting discussions of the day, if not a century. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Summer, the season for backyard gatherings, beach parties, office socials, and camps for kids. Make the most of your summer party and leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters or double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway Box to Go, with the option of a 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. Cater your summer with Subway. Visit Subway.ky for menu options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Census 2021. Came and get ready. Census starting 10th of October 2021. Census West Bay, you ready? Census East End, we coming. Census everyone will be counted. Census 2021. But in town, are you ready? Georgetown, we coming. Your info will be secret. Northside, get ready. Brackers will be counted. Little Cayman, we coming. People get ready. 2021. Todos se cuentan. Latinos serán contados. Filipinos marcanda. 2021 census. Papa, are you ready? Mama will be counted. Children and toddlers. 2021. Information is secret. 2021. census. 2021 census. 2021 census. Census.
2021 census. Everyone counts.
The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. We are a non-for-profit member-centric plan with a democratically elected volunteer board of trustees representing all sectors of the Cayman Islands economy. Chamber Pension has an all-in expense ratio of 0.72% over 16,000 members, $430 million in assets under management. We were the first multi-employer pension plan approved by the regulator in the late 1990s. And today, we are still strong, secure, and are here for employees and employers alike. If you would like to join or request further information, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
The HSA Specialist Clinic has relocated to a new, modern, state-of-the-art facility at Smith Road Center to offer you a better patient experience. Receive care from top specialists in chiropractic, complementary and alternative medicine, neurology, ENT, urology, pain management, and more. Our orthopedic and telemedicine clinics remain at the Cayman Islands Hospital campus. Please remember to bring your own face mask when visiting any HSA location. Visit our website, hsa.ky, to learn more. At the HSA, you matter to us.
In an effort to reduce the risk of fires at the Georgetown landfill, the Department of Environmental Health has updated policies for scrap metals, derelict vehicles, and equipment which can be dropped off to the Georgetown landfill Monday to Friday from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. only. Vehicles should be separated from other waste and must be thoroughly emptied of all waste, batteries, and flammable material. Scrap metal should be sorted before arrival and free of waste and contamination. Batteries and electrical items should be separated from all other waste. For more information on how you can help prevent landfill fires and where to recycle, visit www.deh.gov.ky.
Office Supply in the Marquee Plaza on Lawrence Boulevard is a participating sponsor of the New Nookers Story, Thursday at 7 p.m. on Radio Cayman. The story of a modern Cayman Islands passenger ship of its era, which departed Cayman with its destination being Tampa, Florida, in July 1936 and was never heard or seen of again. Office Supply, widest selection at the lowest prices. The back-to-school headquarters, up to 20% discount on school supplies. Visit them today and enter to win laptops, printers, and tablets. Office Supply, 946-1200.
Radio Cayman,
the voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. Those who want to call and share a thought, well, 949-8037, 949-6990, or you can use our flow toll-free line at 1-800-534-8255 as we speak to Dr. Gideon Barnett. Honored for your company, sir, and thanks for sharing from your experience and expertise.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to be here today and to help my fellow Caymanians. Okay, so COVID-19 is treatable.
It's treatable. Okay.
It's treatable. It's not to be feared. There are things that are coming out all the time to help. For example, about a week ago, it was reported about fenofibrate and fenofibrin, in order to, which is, those drugs are for cholesterol.
Mm-hmm.
And they have found that it has been active against COVID-19. Okay, so there's also an investigational new drug application that was just approved by the FDA in a form of a tablet vaccine that was being tested against COVID-19. You folks out there in Radio Land might recall that we had an oral polio vaccine when in our little children.
The drops,
the drops. And the nurse would squeeze the drops in your mouth. Yes.
Yep.
And through our intestinal system, we would then be able to produce antibodies against poliomyelitis. Interesting, isn't it? Yes.
Well, they say, go ahead, we'll listen.
Yeah.
The skin, the mouth, the
tongue.
So,
I just want to mention that there are all of these things that come to the fore which can help us so that we don't have to be in fear. And then, of course, you have so many cases of ivermectin, for example, and the India experience, which was fantastic. And that probably helps to save Delhi. I tell you that in about 5 weeks, Delhi was saved, for example. And this is back April, May this year, for 5 weeks, that ivermectin was given, and this is over in India. The cases of COVID-19 was cut down by 97%. 97%. Goa, the cases were cut down to by 85%. Whereas those states in India which refused the ivermectin that they could have gotten, the cases increased. For example, Tamil Nadu, the cases increased 173%. You see? So we have information out there which is very useful and did not come from the regulated bodies like the CUC and the FDA and NIH or the WHO. So there are things out there and ways that we can help ourselves, help protect ourselves. So we don't have to live in fear.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's perhaps the underlying truth, that fear. As we look at where we are and we see a globe that is sort of inundated with a lot of information, whether it's misinformation, disinformation, whether it's people genuinely believe in something but not quite sure how to present it, whether it's a cold calculated thing to deceive, whatever the reason is. And then we're seeing the word unprecedented in our lifetimes, but we are quickly looking at historical accounts of the thing 100 years ago that was presumably the Spanish flu.
Yes, yeah, and put it in perspective, how many people did we have in automobile accidents in the Cayman Islands in the past 12 months?
Okay.
As opposed to how many people died with COVID-19.
Okay. So the risk as we wait. But then the world is at a space where we don't travel. There are significant restrictions in a free society to assemble, from a sporting event to a gathering of celebration of life, whether it's at the end thereof or the new beginning of a birth or marriage. We're seeing behaviors that are indicative, or we would somehow ascribe to a communist regime relative to people's personal freedoms. We're told that under public health legislation in the UK and similarly here, that there is significant authority vested in the state under the guise of public safety to be able to forcibly remove people and place them in, I'll use the word, in incarceration. So, Dr. Barnett, we're in, for some, a different time.
Yes, and what we do not want to do, we do not want to compromise personal freedoms for an exaggerated risk profile that a political body places on this situation.
All right. We've got a couple of comments, Dr. Barnett, if I may, and I'll read them. This listener weighs in and asks, can Dr. Barnett offer any advice to an employee whose employer is requiring vaccination but does not want to take it? So the employer is telling, the employee, you got to take it, and the employee is saying no. If the solution is regular PCR testing, is this really reliable, since PCR testing will not be used after December 31st, 2021? So, I mean, your employer is saying...
Okay, so that person can actually act as his own lawyer, or he can get an attorney.
Okay.
I mean, because you have the attorney will be able to figure out all of the laws of the land with relation to the question. And so it might actually come to that with some people. Or a group of people could get together and hire an attorney and make a determination before the courts.
That's presumably one, that the person has a resource.
Yes.
And two, that there is an attorney, someone available to be an advocate, because
there was a case in Alberta, Canada, not too long ago, in which a gentleman was in a similar circumstances, and he asked for evidence from the regulation body. Send me the evidence that you have to be able to do this. And the regulating body could not send the evidence because they just did not have it.
Right.
And he won the case.
Wow.
And he was his own lawyer, for example. Yeah.
So people having the courage and conviction, but being informed.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to do that in life, you see.
Says, thanks for allowing Dr. Barnett to speak with dignity and respect. He speaks the truth, but most won't follow his logic. And there's an attached picture of a mask. It does share, say, this is the only type of mask that can block the virus. Yet we are allowed to wear anything, face covering, mask made by our neighbors. It's a very complex mask, and the only one that works. That's why every, intensive care unit uses it. But we've seen, as I showed Dr. Barnett the picture, we've seen, as part of a presentation in the fourth quarter last year, where this virologist was showing about masks and how masks are used when you're looking at certain viruses and the difficulty of inhaling, but you can still breathe out, but then you filter in the air that comes in. So the mask that we're wearing, going back to what you shared earlier, it's just a mask. It's probably no more than we're watching those movies in the Cops and Robbers with the guy going handkerchief over his face. Effective. Can I read this other comment? So the FDA has created a special emergency program for possible coronavirus therapies, the Coronavirus Treatment Acceleration Program, CTAP. The program uses every available method to move new treatments to patients as quickly as possible, while at the same time finding out whether they are helpful or harmful. So they have to continue to support clinical trials that are testing new treatments for this COVID thing so that we can gain valuable knowledge about their safety and effectiveness. So there's this accelerated special emergency program.
Well, you see, in looking at all of the aspects of this is where a task force, Cayman Islands Task Force on Infectious Diseases, would come in and gather all the information that they can from around the world, and also possibility of doing local studies as to what people are doing, and plus the gathering of side effects from vaccination, because this becomes important. It might be very important in the future when we come upon another virus.
Yeah. because as you shared, more and more pop up. Put it a different way. All right, but here we are. Is this a moot point? And I'll ask this question. We can consider discussing it when we come back from this break. A lot of people across the globe, we hear statistics. We got a call on Monday, talked about whatever, and we see the numbers here every day. So this is really another academic debate. It's just a moot point. It's already a done deal. All right, let's pause and take this break. When we come back, we'll talk today.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
The 2021 census begins on the 10th of October. Every person in the Cayman Islands will be counted. The population count and data are protected and authorized by the Statistics Act. The information is confidential and cannot be shared with any law enforcement agency. Every person counts, no matter who you are or where you live. So have your say in the 2021 census.
2021 Census. Everyone counts.
For the record.
For information that matters to you, the people. Hear from the government, the opposition, independents, and other experts on issues and solutions that affect you.
For the record.
Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, tune into 89.9 and 93.9 FM for Cayman's Straight Talk Morning Show. For the record.
I invite you to join me for the record. You are invited to be a part of this interesting and informative show. Embrace the opportunity to dialogue with your legislators, policymakers, and those charged with policy implementation.
For the record. Brought to you by
Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors.
Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola.
What do you do if you have to go to a shelter? To help you safely prepare, evacuate, and shelter while protecting yourself and others from COVID-19 this hurricane season, here's some tips from the Public Health Department. If you must go to a shelter, be ready to protect yourself and others. Practice social distancing of at least 6 feet from others. Follow public health's preventative actions. Wash your hands with soap and water, often if possible, or use hand sanitizer, cover coughs and sneezes, and wear masks or cloth face coverings. Get your COVID-19 vaccine when eligible. Avoid sharing food and drink with anyone. For more guidance to update your emergency hurricane plans due to coronavirus, visit www.caymanprepared.gov.ky. This message is brought to you by the Public Health Department in partnership with the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And thank you so much for joining us here as we have the good company of Dr. Gideon Barnett. And we go to the phones. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Hello. Good afternoon, Mr. Dwayne, and good afternoon to your guest there, Mr. Barnett.
Yeah, Dr. Barnett. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing?
Oh, man, I'm always thankful, looking on the bright side of the coin.
Oh, yes, definitely. I'm the same here, too.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say congratulations again to Dr. Barnett and thanks again for being on the radio today and giving us some credible information. And when I say credible, I mean it to the extent of the word. To the full extent of the word, I should say, because it it is so important that this is happening right now. As I've said a few days ago when I did my previous calling, is that we have never had anyone come from our government department to talk about this situation here in regard to the COVID. All we heard before and again and still going is come take your vaccine, right? I'm going to put one question to Dr. Barnett, and then he can answer after I hang up. The question is this: do Dr. Barnett, which I think he should probably know, knows exactly what is contained in the vaccine that is being given out today or being, in the public? And I know, as I said, I know for a fact what is in there, and some of those items in there are not good for any human being. The second thing about our situation right now in the world today in regard to this vaccine, right, is that everybody is looking forward to Dr. Fauci, whatever his name is. Everybody is looking at Dr. Fauci as the savior of the world. He is going to come up with all of the answers to this vaccine. As we have seen and I've heard many times, he has changed his theories so many times, he just can't get it right. The other thing of this is that until right now, at this point, we have gone through we're with this virus for probably over a year, going into 2 years right now. And at this point, no one can tell exactly where the virus originated from. Well, supposedly it's in China, in the Wuhan lab. But who knows for a fact that it happened that way? Who knows exactly what was behind it and what is the intention of it, right? Those are unanswered questions going into almost 2 years, right? Okay, those are things that need to be. Listen, I think there are a few people knows about this, why this happened, or why it is happening. But those truths will not come out right now. I think they will at some point because nothing stays under the cover. Those are very important questions. Dr. Barnett is giving some good solutions or some remedies to the vaccine in terms of the virus. Sorry, not the vaccine. In terms of the virus itself, And one very important thing he said, it was that you take care of your body. You make sure that you're in good health. And that is very, very important. Tell you what, as for me, I would rather do that and fight that virus when it comes. God forbid that it would come around and I would get it, that I would rather fight it naturally other than put that vaccine into my system. The other thing, what I want to bring forth here this evening likewise, is unfortunately for those who are on a working permit or those who are working at these places who have pretty much demanding that their employees take the vaccine, I would say shame on them. Shame on them. Dr. Barnett gave a good answer to that, is just take it to the court and let them prove whatever it is need to be proven. It is so unfortunate, so unfortunate. And, it is so unfortunate that everybody is looking forward to the U.S. to bring forth a solution to these viruses, or to this virus. Look at the situation that the United States is in today. They are almost about to go into a civil war. Can you imagine the mess that they are in and the world is looking at them for a solution? Well, give me a break. And it is so unfortunate that we are in this situation right now, but I think at some point, as Dr. Barnett has said, this is not something, this virus is like a flu situation where we will probably not get over it. We'll just have to live with it, but then let us do it wisely. Let us do it wisely. It's so unfortunate that I'm going to say this plain and straight. I would rather believe on some of the things that Mr. Barnett is saying, or pretty much all of it, other than to believe much of the things that is coming from our government officials. And I'm not saying only from here in our Cayman Islands, but from around the world. It is so unfortunate that no government officials or no government is standing up for the people and saying, you know what, let us just hold on to see what will be the outcome of this situation worldwide before we can make a step forward or before we decide to demand or to request that our people take this vaccine. no government around the world, but I appreciate Dr. Barnett very much, and Katina, who was there a few days ago, that they would make it their business to come on the radio to educate our people in regards to this vaccine. On the other end, likewise, I have so many friends that have said, you know what, I regret taking this vaccine. I regret it. I wish I could turn it around. I said, unfortunately, you can't. But, you know, it is very sad that we have got to this point. There's one more thing I'm going to say until I will let Dr. Barnett continue with his show, is that I was trying to find my points here.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to leave you there on that. But thanks very much for your time, Dwayne and Dr. Barnett. I'm looking forward to hearing some answers to
Thank you. As we get ready for the headline news break at 2, if you have a comment you wish to share.
Yes, I would like to make a comment. I think that man is speaking as a wise man, and he's thinking. And also with regard to what is in the vaccine, that is a big question. Does it glow? No. Are there microchips in it? No. Is there lipid in it that we do not use in vaccines? Yes. Are some of the vials magnetic? There actually were some of the vials magnetic in those independent doctors who were looking into it. And so, why? That's a very, very important question. What is in it? What is going into my body? That's the individual needs to know, and he needs to make his own decision without any coercion.
Or incentive.
You know, what am I taking?
All right. Let's pause and take a break. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Continuing the Caymanian tradition.
Let Cora keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
There's wisdom news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. Workforce Opportunities and Residency Cayman is offering extended hours to assist Caymanian and permanent resident job seekers in registering on the Jobs Cayman portal. Extended hours are offered Friday, August 13th at the Boddentown Public Library from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and again Saturday, August 14th at number 9 Forum Lane at Camana Bay from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. On Friday and Saturday, registration is open for last names A through Z. In international news, anti-migrant protesters have attacked houses, shops, and cars owned by Syrians in Turkey's capital after tensions flared over the alleged killing of a local teenager. The violence erupted on Wednesday night following reports that a Syrian refugee had stabbed 2 Turkish men in a fight. Anti-migrant sentiment in Turkey has been rising in recent years, with a number of politicians campaigning for harsher restrictions. Brazil's lower house of Congress has voted in favor of expelling a lawmaker who has been accused of ordering the murder of her husband. Evangelical gospel singer and pastor-turned-politician Flordelis de Souza has always maintained she is innocent. The 60-year-old's husband, Anderson de Carmo, was shot 30 times at their home in Rio de Janeiro in June 2019. Prosecutors allege he was killed by Ms. Souza's son on her orders with a gun purchased by one of her adopted sons. An Olympic gold medalist will be given a new medal after the mayor of her hometown bit her original medal. Takashi Kawamura, mayor of Japanese city Nagoya, sparked fury online when he lowered his mask and bit on softball athlete Miu Goto's medal at an event. He was accused of ignoring COVID-19 restrictions and lacking respect. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
Radio Cayman, your #1 community station, would like to remind you that we are in the hurricane season, and in order to survive a hurricane, you need to be prepared. If officials' sources say a hurricane is imminent, please board up or shutter up windows in your home or place of business. Remember to use good lumber, as makeshift boarding may actually cause more damage. Also put strong bracing on outside doors so that they are not blown off or blown in.
This hurricane advice was brought to you by Radio Cayman, your caring community radio station.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for sharing with us. Dr. Gideon Barnett is our guest, and those who are listening, hopefully we find a way to be united, and hopefully we'll find a way to have great faith through our prayers and petition. We do have a caller online, Dr. Barnett. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Yes, same caller here. I remember the question that I had, and thanks for taking my call again.
Thank you for calling back.
You're welcome. The last thing I want to say is this. I challenge our official doctor of the Cayman Islands, Dr. John Lee. I challenge him to come on the radio and say otherwise what Dr. Barnett is talking about and giving us some credible information. I challenge him to do that. That's all I'm going to leave with you all this evening. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Dr. Barnett, it is something that I've said from the outset, and I say it again. If people are growing and asking for information they're not as trusting for different reasons. The same politicians that we decry in the past because they don't tell the truth, now we've been told that we believe them because they're following the science. It's inflammatory in some quarters. Some people have grown a bit berated. Oh, well, we're using the government radio station. Well, it's not the government radio station. It belongs to people paid by taxpayers' dollars. But in everything, we should be responsible, respectful, and reasonable, rational, and the like. To those who are listening and agreeing with your perspective, they may be your champions. There are those who are listening and may say, "Well, that's nonsense. You're this, that, and the next thing." Where do we find sense in nonsense?
Well, each individual, first of all, each individual is responsible to the Maker,
okay,
to the Almighty God. When you stand before the Almighty God, you don't stand with mama, daddy, grandmother, grandfather, brother, sister. You stand alone. And so you are responsible. You're responsible for the decisions you make. You're responsible for the decisions you do not make. You're responsible for, did you obey His word? Okay? And that's why one of the tenets I live by is try to never be proud. Because pride goes before a demise.
Yeah. Pride before the fall. Humility before honor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I want to let the people know that I am able to go outside and smell the roses. Yeah? That I'm free.
Yeah.
I'm a free man.
Right.
And that freedom extends to what goes in my body. People should take that to heart. And people should defend the ability to make your own decisions. Okay. Because if you don't do that, bad things can happen.
Right.
You see, the thing is, what you tolerate today, you tend to embrace tomorrow. So be careful.
Right. So, in listening to what you just shared, there are those who would say, in today's context, whether it's a sincere attempt, genuinely, with the best of outcomes in mind, let's find ways to bring those people along who are still reticent. So we will offer up lots of money, property, travel, a hamburger, whatever. That doesn't work. We threaten their livelihoods and their jobs. You can't come in here to buy stuff. You can't be employed. Different things. We're not going to mandate it through legislation. And there are those who may ordinarily gravitate towards the government narrative, making a decision based on what they think, in this case, to take this injection. But would, in the same breath, say, well, it shouldn't be coercion, it shouldn't be forced, bullied, threatened, all those things. Someone tried to sort of look at it in this perspective. If you go back to the Canadian example in the early days where, their native people were taken and put in what they call them, residential schools, cut their hair, stripped of their culture, their language, and the like, to be re-educated because their ways are the wrong ways. And now we realize, well, who were the real offenders? We're back in a time where people's freedoms, their democracies that they should embrace and enjoy, are no longer. Hello, Dr. Barnett. A different time. Before I make the comment, let's take this caller. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling, and good afternoon,
Dr. Barnett.
Dr. Barnett.
Yeah. Good afternoon, my friend. How are you?
Barnett. All right. Yeah.
That's the gentleman. Yes, sir.
I have one question for the doctor, and obviously it's important because it's taking place now within our society, and a lot of people are being victimized with it. And I just want to get a doctor's perspective on the statements that are being made to people who choose not to be vaccinated. And one of the things that they're saying to persons who don't want to be vaccinated is that they should get vaccinated so they can protect their loved ones and their children and the people around them. And I'm a tad bit confused on the statement, and the reasoning why they would tell you that is because, one, if you're vaccinated or if someone is vaccinated, I don't understand what their fear is from someone who is not. And secondly, as you pointed out at the very beginning, the numbers and the percentages of those survivors and the age groups, I thought that was a very good breakdown, because I think people are a bit confused, and I refuse to be victimized by somebody who is telling me that I am doing something wrong by choosing not to be vaccinated. I'm not choosing to be vaccinated because I'm anti-vaccine. I'm choosing not to be vaccinated because this particular vaccine has not gone through the trial process that satisfies me personally. And I have 2 children that I'm responsible for, and under no circumstances I will make them be subject to some sort of experimental trial test, because I'll just point this out, and I think that a lot of people have missed this fact. From the beginning of 2020, when COVID-19 first arrived, and all the way up until December, January of 2021, all of the people who contracted COVID-19 and survived it, all did it without a vaccine. And the thing is that we're being told that, the vaccine reduces the effects of COVID-19. The vaccine protects people around you from COVID-19. When number one, if you have a healthy immune system, as you mentioned, you are quite capable of fighting off this viral disease, which the data is there to prove it. And I'm just a little tired that, everybody is starting. I mean, when I say everybody, let me rephrase that. Those people whom believe in the vaccine, and they're trying to encourage people who haven't taken the vaccine to take it because they just want the flights to return to normal so they can travel. They not even want to be vaccinated for the right reasons, and that in itself is disingenuous. And then, last but not least, I think the government need to rethink and restructure and reconsider what they have done to the work permit holders in this country. It's wrong. And then now we have employers who have taken the initiative based on the comments made by the Premier to now bully their employees into taking the vaccine, or else they won't get bonuses, or they will have to find or seek other employment. And it's wrong. And I don't understand how they don't see that this is 100% wrong. anyway, that's all the comments I want to make. And if you could shed some light on the situation of us being victimized because they say that we're gonna affect the people around us if we don't get vaccinated. I just don't get it. So if you could shed some light on that, I would be grateful. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much.
Yeah, we get vaccines in our bodies to protect our bodies. Our bodies interact with other bodies in society, and we do not take vaccines for external reasons.
Okay. All right. Got one other caller, Dr. Barnett. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you guys?
Very well. How about yourself?
I'm doing very well. So I 100% agree with the gentleman that was on just now. And I'll tell you, I'm one of the ones that haven't taken the vaccine. And the reason being is because of all the points that he just mentioned. And it's highly suspicious. I don't know about you guys, but don't you guys think that it's rather suspicious that they're willing to give away $100,000 to anyone just because they're vaccinated? So what if I was to go and get the vaccine and then somebody in Safe Haven win the $100,000? That's bribery. That's bribery. You're saying, okay, take the vaccine and you can potentially have the chance to win $100,000. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that not bribery? Take it, you might get this money.
Hmm.
And then
the only thing you're sure of there is that you've taken the vaccine and you do not really know what's going to happen to you because you took the vaccine. That's what you really definitely will get. You don't know if you're going to get the $100,000. That's I would say the height of gambling, when your body goes on the line.
Right, like they're going to extreme measures to try and motivate citizens to take this vaccine, and they're like companies who take years to probably give an employee a raise are willing to give away $1,000 to an employee just because they have a vaccine. I mean, come on.
Yes. I think that's totally wrong.
And there's no facts behind the vaccine to say that it's like what you say. That we need proof to know that this thing really works. And they kind of rushed it to try and, because everyone was in a state of panic.
Yes.
Right? Everyone is panicking, and they rushed to get this vaccine so that they can try to have somewhat of a cure for this thing. And there's no real clear path if this thing is the answer, but it's like anything that's brand new. It normally goes through a trial first, and there's bugs to be tweaked. So I would prefer to wait to see what the bugs are that are going to be tweaked in the vaccine before I consider taking it.
Yeah. I think you're thinking on a wise path.
Mm-hmm. Hey, thanks very much for the call, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good one.
Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Final break, Dr. Barnett, and we'll come back for some of your other thoughts. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Do you have plans to travel to the UK? You must provide a letter of certification from Public Health and your vaccination certificate issued in the Cayman Islands if traveling to the UK via the Bahamas, the United States, Canada, Jamaica, or any other Amber List country. If you are traveling directly to the UK from Cayman, no letter of certification is necessary. Letters of certification may be requested by emailing vaccinecertification@hsa.ky. Travelers must attach a copy of their vaccination verification card as a screenshot attached to their email request. All requests will take 3 business days to process, and letters will only be issued within 3 weeks of a person's date of travel. Letters of certification are only needed if traveling to the UK via any Amber List country. Travelers to the UK coming directly from the Cayman Islands do not require a letter of certification.
Office Supply in the Marquee Plaza on Lawrence Boulevard is a participating sponsor of the New Nookers Story, Thursday at 7 p.m. on Radio Cayman. The story of a modern Cayman Islands passenger ship of its era, which departed Cayman with its destination being Tampa, Florida, in July 1936 and was never heard or seen of again. Office Supply, widest selection at the lowest prices. The back-to-school headquarters, up to 20% discount on school supplies. Visit them today and enter to win laptops, printers, and tablets. Office Supply, 946-1200.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. In the studio, Dr. Gideon Barnett. Sorry, we do have another caller. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Very well, ma'am. How are you today?
I am doing absolutely well. Good afternoon, Dr. Gideon. How are you?
I am just fine. Wonderful. If I get into bed, I'll be in heaven.
You know,
tomorrow,
I can't help but agree with you on that.
Tomorrow, God willing, I will be 57 backwards.
Okay.
Turned around.
Well, I tell you, you make that number look good, though. Well, I'm calling in to add to your conversation and for the public information. And the purpose of my call right now is to read a public statement, and it is issued from the Christian Association for Civics and Political Education. And the statement is in regards to a notice to the Cayman Islands government and to private employers in the Cayman Islands regarding citizens' rights to choose to be vaccinated for SARS-CoV-2. The Christian Association recognizes the importance of public health and safety. We also recognize the rights of the individual to accept or to refuse any medical treatment or to be a part of any medical experimentation. This right is an established international medical protocol that exists because of the Nuremberg Code and is enshrined in the United Nations Declarations of Human Rights, Article 7. Christians are also instructed to, I quote, learn to do good, seek justice, relieve the oppressed, seek justice for the fatherless, and plead for the widow. This is found in Isaiah chapter 1, verse 17. In light of the foregoing, the Christian Association, in collaboration with and on behalf of a local body of persons known as Vaccine Choice Cayman, issued this notice to the Cayman Islands government and to private employers in the Cayman Islands, citizens' rights to choose to be vaccinated for SARS-CoV-2, that we are obtaining legal advice on A, the legality of mandatory vaccination, B, the rights of patients and citizens to choose to be vaccinated, C, the potential for lack of informed consent in previously vaccinated persons, D, the demand by private employers for vaccination of employees, E, any other area of law that may be applicable to the subject of patient rights. 2, we are preparing to take or support the appropriate legal action that may be required for the enforcement of protections here in the Cayman Islands for Caymanians, permanent residents, and expatriates. In closing, we remind the government of the atrocities that were carried out under the T4 program in the name of medicine and research, lest we should find ourselves repeating history. God bless the Cayman Islands. Sincerely, Christian Association for Civics and Political Education.
Thanks very much,
That ends the notice from that body regarding the potential legal action regarding forced vaccinations in the Cayman Islands of individuals.
All right. Hey, thanks very much. It's good to know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You know, as I look across the many comments that are coming in and hearing the callers who echo their sentiments, there's a lot of growing discord and division. And a house divided can't stand. Whether you subscribe to the scriptures and see yourself as, very religious, or whether you're just a, observer of history. Dr. Barnett, where do we go from here, and what is unfolding? Your perspective.
My perspective is that we should do our best never to let any kind of controversy get between us. However, there are things that will separate. There are a number of things, even two recent marches, for example, that will tend to separate. And there will always be that. Some things you can't prevent. You would like to, and you would like for everyone to adopt the biblical standards, for example. But we know not everyone will. And so what we do, we stay on our knees. As Christians, we stay on our knees in prayer, realizing the facts of the matter and the facts of the matters. See, so it's a fine line frequently, but when it comes to things as far as government policy, government policies should always be in the best interest of the people. Now, I want to make a statement right here that might surprise some people, and that is the majority is frequently wrong. I want everybody to think about that over the weekend.
The majority?
The majority is frequently wrong. Even though we have a democratic society in which the majority rules, the majority is frequently wrong.
But
not always, but I say frequently.
Right. But I look at where we are, not just in the Cayman Islands, not just in this region, but across the globe for the most part. Everybody, seemingly, according to popular news media, everybody's on board. Everybody's, they're what does they say? If you're a teen, get the vaccine. I mean, we're seeing all sorts of things that brings everybody in one accord almost. But there's a growing voice of scientists who are saying, well, hang on a second. It comes down to the ordinary person being somewhat, at least questioning, if nothing else. Then that person is maligned and ostracized.
If I were a teen, I would love this better. If you're a teen, go and scream. Go in the woods and scream. Look at the roses. I mean, enjoy yourself. I mean, you're going to let some of these things rob you of your life, of your enjoyment in life. You're going to bring burdens upon the little young ones. No, let them be children.
Right. But some people have shared, and let me go back, because this is a very intelligent, individual that talked about, other vaccines, like for the measles and mumps and rubella and tetanus and chickenpox and polio and the like. We took them, they were vaccines, but what do you say about them? I mean, most of us have at least taken them, and if not, the boosters and the other things. I mean, the tetanus is down in a nail or a rusty hinge, and you go get your tetanus shot.
Not all things that are vaccines are created equal.
Okay. Some, was it?
Think on that one.
Some men are created equal, just others are created more equal than others. But did they not take a longer period of time to develop?
Oh, definitely.
Back to our earlier question, though.
Absolutely.
Times have changed. Technology is there, so they can develop these things faster now. You say that time and the human body is the one variable that we need to not ignore.
That's right. Yeah, otherwise you get bias in the system, and what's happening now, we're experiencing bias.
Mm. Is that also confirmation bias as well?
Mm-hmm.
What if down the road, on the one side of the coin, people who are naturally questioning comes to pass that they were justified in doing so, and there is significant ailments in our wider community?
That did not negate the obligation that we should have, or I should say the right we should have to make our choice with regard to what goes in our body.
Okay.
That would not negate it.
Well,
think of that one.
Yeah. I always believe that if you can speak to someone who is willing to share, as you have, we can either come away better informed if we're civil in our discourse.
Yes.
And have a receptive mind and a discerning spirit.
Yeah, we can go fishing together, right? We can catch a few fish.
Hey, now you're speaking my language, man. Good friends tried some, fish and some fritters for me the other day, man, and that was one of the top ways in turtle. Let me just ask this then in closing, because I've heard it. We've heard it, callers share it, and I've heard it from many. And this isn't to be inflammatory, but it's just, again, another opportunity to see where people are still a bit reticent. So people who have taken both of the injections are now saying, boy, I'm not sure. Perioding goes okay, but I took it. Then there's some who have taken one and they're waiting for the intervening period to take the second one. Still hesitant, still looking for something. I don't know. I'll leave it to you whether to answer or not. I didn't provide an answer because I can't. Should they take the second one or they took the first one?
The second one might induce what is known as the antibody-mediated viral enhancement. So for those who are questioning whether they should take the second one, that's left up to them, their decision. And try to research it and learn all you can about it.
Right.
And make your own decision.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time this afternoon, and if nothing else, what we say, there are more questions than answers. Well,
yes.
Closing thoughts you may want to leave with our listeners, sir.
Well, the thing I want to leave with our listeners is, as we open up the borders, that we should not be fearful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that every person in the island has to be heard with regard to any policies going forward, I believe. And so I encourage the political leaders to have their meetings in their constituencies and so on. But I would advise that people do not fear opening up the borders, because that's something that has been created. A lot of fear has been created, especially from February, March 2020, and we're about a year and 5 months into this. So that would be one of the worst things that would happen. Do not transfer fear to our little children. Yeah,
yes.
That would be doing them a great disservice. And watch the language you use with regard to the situation. Do not always be using terms that have been new terms that have been created so that you make people uneasy, etc. Because we don't want to do that. We want to be a civil society with people who make their own decisions, and their own decisions are not penalized, regardless of which way they go.
Freedom of choice and the like.
Yes.
Well, thank you, sir, for sharing your time. I think many scripture reminds us life and death is in the tongue. Words have, significant connotations. A friend of mine sent me something. He says, welcome to year 2 of the 2 week attempt to flatten the curve. 2 weeks is all we needed to flatten the curve. Year 2. It is an interesting time, my friend. Many of us going to be disinvited. Many of us going to be...
Yeah.
But thank you, sir.
Many of us can be disinvited, but we can't be unvaccinated, so be careful.
All right. To our listeners, be informed, be blessed, and join us tomorrow as we invite you to be a part of our continued discussion. If I'm here, well, I'll be here. Hopefully you will be as well. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.